Hello there everybody, and welcome to OPAFET Gaming and another exciting adventure in SnowRunner. You're listening to the OPAFET. We are in the Year 4 Pass in the Season 13 Dig and Drill. We're in the Almaty Region on the only map available called the Zherbai Quarries. We've done a little bit of work in here, cleared some of the towers so we could have some light and see where we're driving. We were doing some general scouting in our PLAD 450 here, where we came upon this poor little KHAN Lo4F. I don't know if that's how you should pronounce it, but that's how I like to say it. All beaten up and laying on its side there. It needs to be delivered to the horse breeder's garage in the 92 horses and 1 horse breeder contract. So we're going to try and turn our PLAD around here, pull it beside it, and then we're just going to pick it up with the crane and put it on the back. Now, if you're not good with the crane, I suggest you give it a little bit of practice, because just like the winch, the crane can be your best friend, and you can only use one at a time, either the winch or the crane at the same time. So you should get a little bit better at it, because it makes the game a little bit easier when you can pick up a little KHAN Lo4F like this and just put it on the back rather than towing it behind you. Because when you're towing it and you're driving over rocks and gullies and all sorts of weird terrain, the car just kind of bounces behind you, and I really don't like that. So we pick it up and put it on the flatbed on the back. Now, I'm relatively new here to this map, so I'm not that familiar with all the roads. So what I've done is, once again, when I'm not familiar, I will lay out the tracker so I can follow them, and I'll just take the map and attach it to the end of the video. For anybody that's interested, I would like to see exactly how I went. Anyhow, here we are. We've got it on the back. We got the little KHAN Lo4F packed, so it's off we go and see if we can get there. Now we got to go through town and back past the garage the way we came, and that's okay. There's a few little problem areas, like little rocky areas like this. You take a little bit of damage, but if you look at that, wow, that's a big hole there. That's not okay. We can get by that. Most of the roads here in the Zherbai Quarries are very passable, especially by a capable truck like the PLAD 450. But nevertheless, every once in a while you do run into a few little problems and snafus. The main road, which you could take to get to the horse breeder's garage, is blocked by a pipe. So haven't quite figured out yet what task or contract we got to tackle to get that cleared, but I'm sure we'll get a hold of that in the coming days. Now, in the meantime, we had to really think outside the box and find a different way. And when you're not familiar, or you haven't driven the map for very long, it's a little bit of a daunting task, but also a very exciting puzzle to try and unwind, because you got to find that one optimum route. And when you do, it's awesome. You know, it's really great. So stick with me, because this is I was looking at this one, and I did some pre-scouting before I did this mission, because I wasn't sure which way I could go or which way you were able to go. So I had to check it out, because there's no point in going off with the KHAN Lo4F on your back and driving around and then coming to a blockade and you go, oh, now which way do I go? So I wanted to find out the way to go first. And I did that, and it's a little bit of a precariously dangerous route, but if you take it slow, and there again, like I always keep mentioning, if you've been watching my videos, speed kills in this game. If you go slow, most of the time, any problems you can encounter, you can avoid and or back out of before they become serious. So you got to keep that in mind. This is a game that's got to be driven slowly and just take your time with it. Now, I am one of the worst ones, because I keep reminding people about these things, about taking it slow, mainly for my own benefit. Now, as we come by the gas station. We figure, well, we're down to 200 liters. We already used 100. We got reserves, but I don't like to pass up a fuel station if I can help it. So we'll fuel her up, and then we'll be on our way. We changed the time, so we're early in the morning again. As you know, I like to be able to see the game, not just because I want to see what I'm doing, but because I think it's such a beautiful game, I don't want to miss anything. So as we're coming up the road here, driving on the main highway like this is a piece of cake. Now, if there weren't no blockages, we could just continue on this highway and it would bring us right over to the horse breeder's garage. But such is not the case, like I said earlier. Now there's a little bit of a detour here. Guys with the backhoe, I don't know where they are, because the backhoe is just sitting there not doing any work. So, but that makes you have to go around it, which is okay, because some of the, there are some little detours like this that you have to go around something. You got to be careful, because right in that detour there could be a well-placed boulder that can flip your truck. I know, because I speak from experience. And if you're not paying attention or ready for it, and you go through the detour and you hit that rock, you'll end up flipping it over. So keep that in mind and watch when you go through any kind of a detour. Now this part here, obviously, like everything else, when you're on the highway, is pretty easy. It's a pretty cool looking game though. But here we got to go off the road and we got to go four-wheeling. Now rather than continuing to head north and roll around to the right at the top of the map, we're going to cut the map in half by turning here. But of course, like I said, that means we've got a four-wheel. Now this road too, if you go a little bit too fast, you'll be hitting the trees, you'll be hitting the bank, and it only proves my point that going slow is the way to do it. So you go a little bit slower, and it's much easier to get through most of these here problem areas. But if you go hard, you could bounce your truck over to the side, you could get damage, and you could even eventually flip your truck. Not a lot of fun. Now you should cut a little bit wider around the trees than I just did there. And don't ask me why I did that, because that's just silly. Give it a little bit of room there, OpenFed. A little bit of room would be okay. Now, over here, there are a lot of places with rocky areas, so you do got to be careful. And I've heard, well, I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard that some of the rocks are breakaway rocks. So watch out for that. And then sometimes when you come along corners like this, it tilts to one side, and if you're not careful, your back end will slip right off the road. But it didn't that time. So as we're coming around the corner here, we're going to come to a nice, special little shortcut, I guess you can call it, to get up to where we got to be, because we're almost across the full width of the map already. And the horse breeder's garage is on the far right-hand side of the map. Now, this is all pretty standard driving though. If you take it easy, you're okay. Make sure that if you're not sure where to drive, follow the tracks of the vehicles before you, because obviously they went that route because that was a viable route. And it might look like it's not that great, but it's still better than some of the alternatives. Now over here we're going to head her to the left, and we're getting close. As you can see, the little yellow diamond with the black arrow in it has popped up on the screen. It's been visible for a few seconds, and that just means that you're getting close to your destination. Now up there, those rocks in front of you right there, that's where we got to go. And there's a little goat trail coming up to your right hand side right here where the next tracker is, and we got to try and climb it up there. But I'm sure that if anybody can do it, it'll be the PLAD. There we go. Now you can see just to the left there's another trail that goes even further. That's where we got to go. But I don't think that the PLAD could make this turn to the left. So I figure, well, why don't we just go straight ahead and then back it up? Just make sure you don't drive off the cliff. that's what we were going to attempt to do. There again, go slow and you'll be okay. It's not a race, although the OPAFET treats it like one sometimes. That's some of the contests are like races, so you can save it for that. And then we got to try and pull it up that way. I don't think we're going to make that turn in one shot. We're going to have to back it up and bring it again. Now in SnowRunner, and it doesn't seem to matter what map or what region or where you are, fences most of the time are breakaways depending upon what they're made out of. If they're chain link, you can go through them. If they're wood, you can go through them. If they're cement or stone like the ones in front of you there, you cannot. But the little extension there is made out of wood, giving us a little bit of a bigger opening. Otherwise it might have been really tight. So we just run over and get it out of the way. We're getting close to the horse breeder's garage now. Now there's one thing I forgot about. Whenever you see a vehicle that needs to be rescued, a lot of times, and not just here, but on the other regions too, a lot of times when you deliver it, you got to refuel it and you got to repair it. And I forgot about that. I picked it up and I just went, never thinking about any of the other stuff. Anyhow, as you'll see in a second here, it becomes a problem for the OPAFET. Because here we are, we got it. Stage 1 is completed. Now we got to repair it and we got to fuel it, okay? I don't remember how many repair points we have with the PLAD, but it looks like it's only 150. It's not going to do it. So we don't have enough repair points. Refueling it is not a problem because the KHAN is only an 80 liter fuel tank. So now we still need repair points. So I called back to the garage and they told me that they were going to send out my trusty TUZ, the rescue vehicles / mobile fuel station / scout. It does almost everything except for carry cargo for you. It doesn't do that, and it doesn't have a crane. One drawback with the TUZ is it doesn't like deep water either. And it has no chains. Chains we don't have to worry about. We got no use for them here. We got no use for them. We just need some good tires. And as long as we don't encounter any deep water, and we didn't see any when we went up with the PLAD, so this terrain should be right up the TUZ's alley. And I think it is. This is probably the most capable scout that I've driven in SnowRunner on this kind of terrain, and even in the snow for that matters, because the snow is tough on the other scouts too. So we're just going to retrace the steps that we took with the PLAD. Now, I do have to admit that I had already run out with the TUZ once already and upped the repair to the KHAN Lo4F to 402 points, as you can see, and I needed a lot more. So I once again came out with the TUZ the first time and I didn't have enough repair points. I wasn't thinking about how many I actually had on the TUZ and how many I needed. So this is in actuality the second time I'm coming out with the TUZ, but I spared you the first trip because it would have been just a duplication of what I'm doing right now. So we didn't put that in there, we just took the second trip and showed you that, and just to let you see what happens when the job, the task is finally completed. Now the TUZ is a little bit of an easier time driving through here, obviously, as you can understand. I mean, the PLAD's a big truck and he was carrying cargo too on top of that. But this TUZ, boy, I tell you, he's wonderful to drive in this kind of terrain because nothing stops him. Nothing holds him back. You know, even cliffs, when you climb up cliffs, they can be pretty steep. And when you go down cliffs, a lot of times, if he does fall down, he doesn't take a lot of damage. So, you know, he's a very versatile vehicle that you can really abuse and still get the best out of, you know. Now, as we're coming up around this corner here, I kind of had a tiny little cranial cramp where I forgot which way to go. not quite here, but right over here. Do I go left or do I go right? Aye, what a dilemma. And then it hit me, and I went, yeah, no, we got to go to the right here. We got to take the lower road. It came back to me. So I had a little bit of a fog, a brain fog. But we're back on track, and we're almost there. Boy, I tell you, this was it's a nice change of pace after being stuck in a moor and all that snow and ice for many jobs. And it took a long time for me to do, but I finally got her done, and it was wonderful. So this is a really nice change of pace, driving in the mud, and just not too much trouble driving. A lot of people don't like that. They figure that there's not enough challenge in on this map. I say it's a welcome relief to drive something a little bit easier. It's kind of nice. Breaks up the game for you. Now the Tuz didn't have to go back and forth there. He was small enough that he can just climb up. Now he has a little bit of a trouble with his steering here. I had it turned as far to the right as possible, but she just didn't want to go. But we finally get around it. So back through the same hole in the fence that the PLAD made for us, and we're almost there. Boy, absolutely fantastic. I really enjoyed this one, and I think I'm going to enjoy the Zherbai Quarries and the non-snow for a while, but it won't be long before we're going to be longing for snow, and hopefully we'll see some again soon. But not for now. Anyhow, hope to see you back at OperFed Gaming again, because there'll be more jobs and tasks and contracts to be done from the Zherbai Quarries. Until then, we just finished rescuing a KHAN loaf with me, the OperFed.